All right, hey everybody, it is Tony, and I am back. I have 5 TTMs for you today. One of those is a Hall of Famer. Speaking of Hall of Fame, I do have my YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame ballot coming up at the very end. So hold on, let's get to the TTMs first, and it comes from Paul Reuschel as our very first one. Paul Reuschel, primarily a reliever throughout his big league career. He did start a few games here and there. In his very first big league game, he struck out Joe Torre, which is all cool and all, but he actually finished the game his brother Rick Reuschel started. So very awesome. I bet that was a big moment for Paul and Rick. Rick started the game. Paul came in, finished up, pitched the last couple of innings. You know, as baseball has changed through the years, and so relievers would have to throw multiple innings, and that is what Paul Reuschel did. And it was very cool to get that 1977 Brothers card signed by both Rick and Paul. It's an uncorrected error. Rick is on our left, and Paul is on our right. We're going to get on to the next one, and this one's a score for Team 80s, and it is Mike Johnson, former Cleveland Browns linebacker. Mike Johnson played in arguably, maybe, possibly the two most famous AFC Championship games in NFL history in 1987 and 1988. Sorry, Cleveland Browns fans, don't mean to bring up bad memories. Mike Johnson, can't say I know a ton about him, but I do have to mention that your first official NFL sack is Dan Fouts, which I will say is quite cool to sack a future Hall of Famer, even though it was towards the end of Dan Fouts' Hall of Fame career. We're going to get on to the next one, and it comes from Jeff Russell. Jeff Russell is the father of James Russell. James Russell was a pitcher in the big leagues as well, played for the Cubs and the Braves. Early 2010s, I think he was still pitching until about 2016, 17 or something like that. But back to Jeff Russell. For a long time, he was a strict 1 per, and I'm not sure if he's still on the strict 1 per, but I still just sent one, and it did take a while. It almost took 3 months to get back. So very happy to get Jeff Russell back, and a big score for Team 80s. Jeff Russell, I think, was part of Pass Pros and required a small donation, but he would sign one for free. And I sent the one card, and very happy to get it back. It is the second time that I have received Jeff Russell back through the mail. It's time for my Hall of Fame return, and it is Jim Rice. Though some voters don't think Jim Rice was clearly a Hall of Famer because he got in with something like 76% of the vote, and you need 75 to get in, and voters have this weird thing in baseball where if you don't hit 500 homers, or if you don't have 3,000 hits, or some kind of other record, you clearly are not a Hall of Fame player. And it took quite a long time for Jim Rice to get inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame, but he finally did. And I believe, you don't need 500 homers and 3,000 hits to put your stamp into the Hall of Fame. This Jim Rice was clearly a banger and a hell of a player, and he rightfully earned his spot into Cooperstown. The year in 1978 when he led the league in hits, homers, triples, RBIs, and he batted .315 that season. That was one of his 3 or 4 seasons where he had over 200 hits, which that's pretty tough to do. And I will say, Jim Rice, awesome to get his autograph back. This is the second time that I have asked for his autograph. First time I did it, he was only $10 per card, and that was in 2019, so he has raised his fee. So if you ever do want to send him to Jim Rice, $20, Hall of Famer. He won't inscribe Hall of Fame for just $20. Not sure about what his fee structure is on the Hall of Fame inscription, but it's still cool to get a Hall of Famer back. And a point for Team 80s. It's on to my last point for Team 80s, and it's Bobby Abar. Forget what his nickname was, Slinging Cajun or something like that. Grew up in South Louisiana. And started his pro career in the USFL. Went to, at the time, 1AA Northwest Louisiana State. And broke all sorts of records there with the Demons. And went on to have a pretty solid NFL career. Played with the Saints, of course. As we all know, the Saints were pretty terrible for most of their existence. And he led them to the playoffs a few times, which was a rarity. As you know, as I discussed, the Saints were pretty awful. He did finish up his career with the Atlanta Falcons in the late or early 90s. So those are my TTMs. Thanks for watching, everybody. My YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame ballot comes up now. I'm here in beautiful downtown South Bend, Indiana. Behind me is the old train station. Right there is the High A baseball park for the South Bend Cubs. Now, this is the 2024 YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame, my ballot. It is Poor Man's Stack, Eddie's Cardboard Chaos, Michael Myers, Math Bowler, Brandon Stebbins, Flying Dutchman cards, Baseball Card Illustrated, and 12 again, Sports and Outdoors. Good luck, everybody. It's cold. Time to go.